Storytime about how I broke up my best friend and his girlfriend. So it was our sophomore year in high school, and my best friend and I had known each other since we were like 8 years old. And I've always had a crush on him. Like anytime he would get a girlfriend, I would try and break them up. And it would work. Well, our freshman year of high school, he started dating this one girl. Well, when he started dating her, he distanced himself from me because she didn't like how much time we were spending together. So a few months go by and my birthday's coming up. And mind you, within these past few months, we only seen each other like twice. And he had me blocked on all social media. Well, our parents were really good friends because we lived in the same cul-de-sac. So my mom invited him and his parents to my birthday party. So at the end of my party, my friends left and him and his parents stayed. And my parents really didn't care if I drank alcohol, so we had like a whole bottle of vodka to ourselves. So we're in the basement and we're taking shots together. Well, I got him super drunk and he fell asleep. And while he was sleeping, I went on his phone and like for part two. And I was able to get into his phone because he still had my fingerprint from when we were best friends. So I unblocked myself on all social medias. And there was an ottoman pushed against the couch. So while he was sleeping, I was able to go lay next to him. So while I was laying next to him, I took a few pictures of us. And I saved them in his camera roll. And I also sent one to his girlfriend. And it was about 1 a.m. Well, she opened it right away and then she started going off and would not stop calling his phone. So after that, I turned his phone off. So he started to wake up and then we started drinking more. And then we started fooling around. And while we were doing the nasty, I took a video. But he didn't see it because the phone was in front of me. And I had his girlfriend on Snapchat. So what did I do? I sent the motherfucking video to her. So the next day, obviously, he found out what happened. So then he came over to my house to talk to me. And I told him how I was upset that she was keeping him from me. So he broke up with her and started dating me. Crazy story time about how I found my aunt and my boyfriend hooking up at a family function. So every year, my mom and stepdad would have a Christmas party and everyone from both sides of the family would come. And I also invited my boyfriend. And at this time, my boyfriend and I were both juniors in high school. So everybody came to the party and everything was going good. Well, like an hour into the party, all the adults were super drunk. So before we all opened gifts, I decided to help my mom clean up dinner. So while I'm washing the dishes, I look over and my aunt and boyfriend are talking a lot. And she started to get really touchy with him, but I didn't think anything of it because she was super drunk. So after I'm done cleaning up, we all started opening gifts. And my boyfriend goes up to my room to go get his phone off the charger. And after he went upstairs, my aunt was like, "Oh, I need to go throw up." So about 10 minutes goes past and my boyfriend's still up in the room grabbing his phone, so I went to check on him. And I walk upstairs to see my aunt and my boyfriend laying on my bed making out. Like for part two. Part 2 to how I caught my aunt and my boyfriend hooking up at a family function. So like I said, they are laying on my bed making out. Doors wide open. They don't even bother to shut the door. And both of their shirts are off. And I think I should just put in here, my aunt is like 28. She's on my stepdad's side. She's really young. So they look up and my aunt's just like drunk as fuck looking at me. And she's like, "Do you want to join?" Like, bitch, what the fuck? So I'm just like shook. And I start screaming. Everybody rushes up the stairs and my mom pushes me out of the way and sees my boyfriend and my aunt laying on my bed with their shirts off. So my mom starts screaming at everybody. So my mom calls the cops, says that an adult is touching an underage boy, and she calls his mom, tells her what happened. So my boyfriend and I broke up. So that spread around the whole school, and word got out that they actually started seeing each other. Storytime about the girl who was absolutely obsessed with me in high school. So it was my junior year in high school. And I'm just going to tell you guys the first story of how I knew that she was absolutely obsessed with me and wanted to be me. Well, I had been dating this guy for like a month. And I sent him nudes. Well, my nudes got spread around the school. And everybody knew they were mine until this one girl, and we're going to call her Addie, started saying that they were hers. I guess one of my friends was talking about it in class and they were like, "OMG, did you hear that her nudes got leaked?" AKA mine. And Addie was sitting at the same table and she said, "No, those are my nudes." And at first I thought this girl was just trying to be nice. I was like, "Oh, well, that's nice of her, you know. Like maybe she's just trying to say that so that way nobody will bully me, I guess." Well, the one day I texted her about it. And I was like, "Hey, like, you don't have to do that. It's fine. I'll take responsibility for it. I did it." And she was like, "What are you talking about? Those are my nudes." Like for part 2. Part 2 about the girl who was obsessed with me. So like I said, she basically told me that those were her nudes. even though I took the pictures and I knew they were mine. But I was like, okay, whatever, I'm not gonna argue with her. Well, then I get a text from my boyfriend. And he goes, what the fuck, you're so weird. Why would you send me somebody else's nudes? And I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck? And I tried to explain to him that I had no fucking clue why this girl was saying they were hers. But then he said that I was weird as fuck and he broke up with me. So like a week later, I see them walking around school together. And my friends tell me that they're now dating. And I really wasn't that mad about it. I was like, okay, maybe that's the only way that she could think of to get a boyfriend. Well, I forgot that my Instagram was logged in on his phone because he had super bad trust issues and wanted to make sure I wasn't cheating on him. So I text him and I'm like, hey, can you take my Instagram off your phone? And I saw that he read my text message, but I got no response. Well, a week later, you guys are never gonna guess what fucking happened, like for part 3. Part 3 about the girl who was obsessed with me. So like I said, I texted him and I got no response back. So I run into him the next day at school. And I'm like, hey, did you get my text? And he's like, text about what? And I was like, taking my Instagram off your phone? And he was like, oh yeah, Addie did it, don't worry. And I didn't think anything of it because, I'm like, oh well, she's done torturing me. Well, I was very wrong. So in my first period, I went to go sit with my group of friends, because all 3 of us had that class together. And when I walk in, I realize that Addie is sitting in my seat. So I pull up a chair to the table, and they were all ignoring me and texting each other right next to me. So I was like, okay, what's wrong? And one of my friends goes, oh, nothing, just the fact that you DM'd Gigi and I's boyfriends, saying that we were whores and that they should date you. By the way, Gigi was my other friend. And after that, this bitch Addie has the nerve to make the comment, that's really fucked up. Why would you do that? So then I beat her ass and lost all my friends. Story time, my parents found out that I was dating a white boy. So a little background information. My parents are super strict, especially my dad. And on top of that, my dad thought that races should not mix. One of his sayings was, you don't see a blue jay fucking a pigeon. AKA, white people and black people should not be together. Sounds fucking stupid. Yeah, I know. Anyways, like I was saying, it was my freshman year of high school and I had been dating this boy for 2 months. And of course he was white. And we had to keep it super low key because if any of my friends found out about it, they would have fucking told my dad. Now when I look back at it, those weren't good friends at all. Anyways, every Friday, my boyfriend and I would go to the movies. And we would go to this theater that was 45 minutes away because nobody that I knew would be there. The only person that knew that I was dating a white boy was my sister. Well, the one day after the movies, I couldn't get a ride home, so I had to get a ride home with him and his family. And as soon as I pulled up, my parents were waiting outside, like for part 2. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let me address it real quick. So, I just shouldn't do story times that are sent in by people of different races. Because to me, right there, that sounds racist. This girl clearly sent the story time in to me because she wanted it to be out there and she wanted it to be heard. Not to mention, that shit actually happens to a lot of people. And what she sent me, I read word for word in my story time. So personally, I don't care whether a person is black, white, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. If they want to send their story time in to me and they want me to tell it, I'll do that. Anyways, part 2 is coming soon. Part 2 about how my parents found out that I was dating a white boy. So like I said, my sister couldn't come pick me up, so I had to get a ride with him and his family. And what do you know, as soon as we pull up to my fucking house, my dad is standing on the porch waiting for me. So I told his parents to drive around the block one more time while I called my sister and told her to distract my dad. So as we're driving up to my house again, I see that my dad isn't on the porch. So I run into the house before he could see me getting out of a white boy's car. So a few months go by and we're still dating, very low key. And the one night at 3 a.m, I get woken up by my sister. And she says, you better delete any pictures that you have of you and you-know-who off your phone. And you better come up with the story right now. Because one of your friends took pictures of you walking with him in the hallways and kissing him behind the stairwell at school. So after I deleted everything off my phone, a few seconds later, my dad came into my room screaming his head off. He was so mad. I ended up getting my ass beat, and I also got grounded from my phone for 4 months. But after that, my mom ended up leaving my dad, and then him and I got back together. Hi everyone! So today I'm going to be doing a little review on these makeup sponges that I got. So once in a while on YouTube, I will see girls using these really big makeup sponges. So I went to Ulta today and I got 2 of them. And they're both different brands. This one's Real Techniques. Don't mind, I ripped up the packaging on this one. But this is by the brand Eco Tools. Pretty much what I'm going to be doing is using one sponge on one side of my face and the other on the other side. Basically, it's just going to be me telling you which one I like better, and if there's a difference between the two, and if I prefer a regular beauty blender versus these. But there's something special about this one. This one is infused with antimicrobial silver. I can't say that word. But the girl on Ulta told me that it's really good for preventing acne. I don't know how, but we'll see. So I already moisturized and primed my face. Okay, this side is done. There's going to be a part 2 on this. Part 2 of me trying out these big beauty blenders, one by Eco Tools and one by Real Techniques. So like I said, these aren't made for your face. These are made for blending stuff out on your body. So as much as I wanted to like the Eco Tools one, it just did not work at all. As you can see, I could barely get in any crevices. That's because, like, you know, it's right there, they're flat, and then it's just really big right there. But one thing that I did like about it, it was fast with getting the foundation on right here, and it's really firm. And whenever I get a new beauty blender, I feel like the beauty blender sucks up a ton of product. This one surprisingly didn't. So if you bought this one, you would definitely have to go in with a regular beauty blender to get all those spaces that you missed. So this side is the Real Techniques. As you can see, it came out really nice, but it did eat up a ton of product. The foundation that I have is a medium coverage, so I usually have to use like 4 pumps. But on this side alone, I had to use like 5 pumps, which is expected because this is a new beauty blender. So if you wanted my opinion, I would go with the Real Techniques. Story time about how my boyfriend's best friend tried to ruin our relationship. So a little background information. My boyfriend used to be best friends with this one girl. We're gonna call her Jamie. Well, Jamie and my boyfriend were best friends for years, and their friendship was more flirty than anything. Well, him and I got to know each other during track season, so we were always hanging out after school, and sometimes Jamie would be there too. Well, the one night him and I were on FaceTime and we were talking about how we really liked each other. So the next day we started dating, and I was good friends with Jamie too. Then after we started dating, she started acting really weird towards me. Like, I would try to say hi whenever I saw her in the hallways, and she would just give me a dirty ass look. So then I told my boyfriend how I thought that she was really mad at me, and he said that he would talk to her. Well, a week before him and I started dating, she told us that there was this guy that she really wanted to ask to prom, and she said that she liked him for a while. Well, then my boyfriend said, apparently a few days ago you were hitting on the boy that she was going to ask to prom. So then I started to connect the dots and I was like, oh shit, like for part 2. You know, I see so many comments of people saying, one wipe and it's all gone, blah, 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 blah. My thing is that, like, I literally have the setting on my camera, like when I'm filming story times and everything, to literally the clearest setting so you can see every single blemish on my face. If that doesn't show you that I don't give a fuck about what you have to say, then I don't know what will, because half of y'all don't even have your faces on your fucking page. Next, please.